Kia ora. Welcome, Liam. Great to have you here to talk about Pedals and have you feature on the Dunedin Stories podcast. Beautiful spring day here in Dunedin. You've used the towel to dry your face.
Yes, absolutely.
It must be incredibly challenging type weather to be getting around Dunedin and doing your mahi, but thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. I really do appreciate it. We like a bit of rain. The rain's very important for the garden, and it's a very good chance for us to test out our wet weather gear.
True. For me, it makes sure that people know that my hair is actually curly and not as straight as I'd like it to be. So that's a very me thing.
Yeah, same here, but you can't tell.
Can't tell, no. So, Liam, how about we start with who are you and what do you do and why do you do it here, I suppose? It would be a great first stop.
Right, okay, well, my name's Liam Harrison. I'm the Chief Peddler of Pedals Dunedin. We're a same-day and urgent courier service. We use e-cargo bikes to get around the city, provide a really reliable, fast and sustainable service to our businesses. I guess I'm a bike enthusiast, so I'm all about using bikes as a practical approach to solving challenges that businesses are having. In this instance, obviously logistics, getting around the central city is a bit of a pain at the moment, as many people here many times a day, but we can provide a really effective solution with these cargo bikes. So that's kind of where I'm coming from, but also, of course, promoting the cause of the bicycle, because people don't often know this, but Dunedin is a really great place to ride a bike.
And dodging the road cones is something that you'll be well used to doing.
They're good fun to sort of slalom through.
Well, of course, makes a bit of fun for your job day to day. Tell me, was it always in your career pathway that you were going to build an organisation like this, or how did you stumble upon this one?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think I was definitely not on a career pathway to logistics or courier services. What have I done? Sort of back in university days, I ran a bookings and promotions firm called Amazing Enterprises. Basically got to organise gigs and tours for my own bands and friends of mine, which is a very fun way to explore New Zealand. And then I've been worked in the tech sector as a business development manager, and moved back to Dunedin just last year and saw the challenges that the central city was facing, but also as well as the main street redevelopment sort of locking things up and causing traffic issues. I also saw the impending, at the time, hospital build and how that was going to impact just mobility and accessibility for the central city is just going to be severely reduced for cars, and saw the opportunity there for a different approach, as I sort of said already, to connecting businesses to their customers. So that's my background, but bikes-wise, I've been riding bikes since I was 5, and been on all sorts of different bikes all over the world, actually. But so.
Is there a particular story about the current bike that you've got? Is there anything, the specs that are particularly exciting? I know that bike enthusiasts will be lapping this one up.
Well, I'm running 2 bikes. I've got my personal bike for getting to and from work, which is a old 1980s Milazzo Crazy Horse. I bought that at $12.50 off Trade Me, and I've used that for all over the place. It's great fun. The work bikes we run, which is probably more interesting, they're Omnium cargo bikes. They're designed in Denmark, and we've put e-kits on them. They can take up to 90 kgs of cargo, and we have sort of kitted them out with a custom build of componentry specific to the work that we're doing. So they can take the loads up the hills, and we can load up lots and lots of really big bulky things as well as not so bulky things.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. So you started a business in Ōtepoti, Dunedin, and you've grown it to a certain point. Is there anything around the bumps in the road that you might have tackled as you've gone through this process?
For sure. Being new to running a courier company and also like having to manage a fleet, I think it's probably been our biggest learning curve. So I'm not super mechanically minded. So my teammate Ashley is all across the mechanic side of things, and I really appreciate and so grateful to have him on board. But we definitely have had moments of going, oh, maybe we should have had a spare of this critical part. But we've been really, really lucky with the first year. We've only been going for a year. The first year and what, challenges we have faced, we've been able to come up with a really quick solution. We've been able to, we've been supported by other businesses around. So we did have one point in August where I did it. I broke both of the bikes, which is 100% of our fleet.
I'm sure you didn't do it on purpose.
And we're very lucky that our friends at Bike House lent us for a day or two a cargo bike that we could carry on, because obviously it's a really big part of our business. What we're trying to sell is a reliable service, and if we don't have any bikes, it kind of makes it a bit tricky.
Yeah, shout out. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
What about your industry itself? Obviously, it's a pretty traditional method of delivering freight or goods, cargo. What's happening in the industry that might be something new or innovation around technology?
There's all sorts of stuff going on. If we look at a macro, not even just in New Zealand, but internationally, logistics have seen this massive, tumultuous time over the past 3 years, thanks to a recent epidemic. More recently and more locally, an economic downturn or slowdown has meant a bit of a tricky time where there's staffing issues and demand is a bit lower for some businesses. And then you've also got bigger players sort of looking at moving and how do they shift in the market, and possibly there's some big acquisitions happening as well. Very locally, Central Dunedin, I've already sort of said this, but the traditional model is cars and vans, and they're continuing to have a hard time with the central city and effectively doing their job. So those are kind of like the different bits. I think in terms of the demand and the economic side of things, that businesses are starting to see things grow back up again in terms of their volumes, and possibly getting a bit more of a steady back to sort of a bit more of the rhythm that is reminiscent of pre-COVID sort of levels. So that's what I've been hearing, talking to other
Post the 2024
that's the one. 2024 is the one.
Yeah. Dunedin as a city has been recognised as being quite a supportive, nurturing environment for new businesses. Is there anything that you can speak to around Dunedin and its particular support of you and what you've been doing?
For sure. We've definitely had a lot of encouragement and support along the way from a variety of people. Startup Dunedin was a good people to go and have a chat with, and sort of when we actually launched, but we went and met with Startup Dunedin and sort of just checked over, what are we doing? Have we got any gaps in our approach and things like that? And sort of good to have a third party kind of review what we were thinking. But the wider business community, effectively what we do is we help other businesses do their business and help them ideally reduce their overheads and increase their connection to their customers. So long as I pitch that the right way, I want to make that really clear, we get a lot of support from local business just across a really wide variety of industries. So they see that, our job is to help them. Yeah.
Awesome. Honing in on the Dunedin flavour, we've got some questions. The first being, you've got a new friend visiting you who hasn't been to Dunedin before. Where are you taking them financially?
I think my go-to with any introduction to Dunedin would be patties and cream. But maybe that's more about me than I've got quite a sweet tooth, and now that I ride, possibly 100 k's a day, every day, I've unfortunately got a habit of sort of saying, well, I can eat anything. And I can eat ice cream every day, apparently.
I'm sure you can.
So that's my go-to, probably.
Awesome. No, that's cool. What about a local spot? Where would you take them to be, giving them a quintessential Dunedin experience?
I think for me, Dunedin's great for the outdoors and the wildlife. So out on the water somewhere, so peninsular ways, whether that's going all the way out to Tairoa Head to see the albatross and all the other amazing wildlife out there. I grew up West Harbour ways, so I'm always a big fan of taking people out to Aramoana, and always going to have a certainty of seeing seals out along the spit out there. Those are probably my go-tos. Yeah.
Really interesting how many people mention Aramoana.
Really?
It's a very special spot for a lot of people.
Well, it's a very special spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the new bike lanes, of course, heading out to both sides. It makes it really easy. Would you make your friend bike with you on that track, or?
Depends on the friend, but also it makes it sound like I'm coercing them into riding the bike. I think I grew up out there in Kerry's Bay, and I would cycle when I was a teenager, obviously, to school, along the highway with those logging trucks going past. And I'm so stoked that there's a path now for other teenagers to safely, whether they're going to school or going to town, biking along that harbour path was not necessarily fun and almost definitely not safe. But it was my independence when I was a teenager. So I'm really stoked with that path, and I think it's a great opportunity to showcase how awesome Dunedin is.
I agree.
Yeah.
So you were born here, you went to school here, and then you left?
Yeah, I wasn't born here, but I effectively grew up here, yeah. So I went to Logan Park High School. I don't know why I'm gesturing over this way.
Yeah.
And studied here as well at Otago. And then went to Wellington in 2017 for 5 years and came back last year.
Yeah. What brought you back mainly, do you think?
My girlfriend and I were very interested in a bit of a change up of scene, I think. And while most of my family is no longer here, my mum is still down in Dunedin, and I think it was a good chance to be a bit closer to home and closer to her. And Dunedin's just so good. We looked at some other options, to be very honest, but there was nothing really of interest in terms of amenities and bikeability and people and ice cream. Yeah, and ice cream, very important.
It is. So what about an event? Is there something in the calendar each year that is held in Dunedin that you think, well, I've got to go to that every year? Is there something memorable around that?
Well, this is going to end up being a plug for an event that hasn't been announced or anything.
Oh, we love those. Goodness the road.
I'm very excited to be looking forward to next year when we're going to host the first ever Dunedin Big Bike Scavenger Hunt. So that's what I'm hanging out for. I've, with a friend in Wellington, been running these scavenger hunts for a few years. We had a hiatus last year, but we're talking about bringing it down to Dunedin next year. So it's a great community event. It's all about promoting the social benefits of riding bikes. So just have some fun mucking around on bikes with some friends.
Yeah.
Basically.
That's great. Oh, we love to hear about new events that are coming. And is there a particular month that people should be considering that this will happen?
It's looking like April. Yep, TPC.
Okay. Wow, we're going to have to keep our eyes on the social media channels, I'm thinking. Yeah, that's great. Is there anything that you would like to share with us that we haven't asked you, Liam, about your business or about Dunedin that maybe is top of mind?
Well, yeah, sure. There's one thing that we're in the process of rolling out. It's been officially launched, called Shop and Drop. So I might take the opportunity to talk about that, because it is, in my view, a really cool new solution to some of those traffic woes in the central city. As we've already said, driving around, but also finding parking and coming into town is a real nightmare if you're driving a car. And ultimately, it's a disincentive to coming in and doing shopping. And what we wanted to come up with was a solution that still promoted and encouraged in-store shopping and encourage people to come into town and go to our amazing retail stores. We're so lucky to have some really, really great businesses running all sorts of cool, interesting shops. But ultimately find a solution that meant that maybe a shopper could come in using an alternative mode of transport, whether that was a bus or walking or bike. And that's not always the option for everybody. That's not always a solution. But for those people who can do those alternatives and not have to worry about carrying their shopping home, we thought that'd be actually a benefit to everybody, because that's less cars on the road. Those shoppers will have a better experience overall because they're not stressing about parking and driving around all the roadworks. And they can buy more stuff without worrying about carrying it.
That is very true.
So Shop and Drop is a same-day delivery from checkout or point of sale to a customer's doorstep that day.
Awesome. And does the person facilitate it directly with you, or is it through the business themselves where you have point of sale?
So we have partnered with the retail businesses, and the service is effectively offered by those businesses. So a shopper can go into pavement and sort of say, I've got all this shopping, all these great shoes that I've just bought, and skateboards, and how am I going to get this home? And pavement can go, well, we can deliver it to you, $10 and happy days. And so we then facilitate the delivery, but the service is being offered by the retail business.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. That's very innovative. And absolutely, for me, it's been a consideration when I'm out shopping. How am I going to carry all this stuff? I won't buy that TV because how will I possibly get it home? No, this is great.
Yeah.
And it's launched?
So yeah, we launched that less than a month ago.
Yeah.
We've got a dozen or so businesses on board already, and we're still just working on getting more businesses on board, because the more that there are, the better selection that customers have to use that shop and drop service. And yeah, it's going to take a while for people to shift their thinking around their habits of going and shopping, but yeah, we like to think that we're hopefully contributing to an alternative and a better solution.
Well, look, and again, another shout out for Pavement. This is the second shout out for Pavement in as many days.
All right, brilliant.
Bit of the local legend.
They are. Yeah. Absolutely. They've been great. They've been one of those businesses that have been really supportive and encouraging since we've been going. So, yeah.
People. And on that note of sort of Dunedin legends, one of the questions that we got you to ponder before you came today was, given the opportunity to have a space or an Ocho hot chocolate with a Dunedin legend with us, or perhaps they've moved on, who would that be for you?
This is a tricky question, but and my answer's a bit esoteric maybe. Robbie Burns never set foot in Dunedin. No. And in fact he finished his days before Dunedin probably even existed as a concept. But if I'm allowed to sort of step a little bit outside the box of what you've defined in the question, I'd probably Robbie Burns, because I think it'd be interesting to hear his views of the fact that he's an icon in Dunedin, of the founding of Dunedin, and he's his writing and his, I guess, ideologies were very, very instrumental in the founding of Dunedin and its initial history. I'd be very keen to hear his thoughts on that.
And what he would think of it today.
Yeah, yes.
Start with a statue and have an hot chocolate.
Yep.
Just that, where we've been.
Yeah.
And where we're going, perhaps.
Yes. Yeah. It'd be very interesting to hear his views.
Very left field, that answer. Thank you.
You're welcome.
They're going to be quite eclectic, I think, these answers to that question.
Yeah.
Well, Liam, it's been lovely to get to know you a little bit today. As a final sort of plug, if you like, do you want to let the community know how they can find your organisation, and perhaps anything else that you think that we might have missed that would be key for them to understand?
Yes, absolutely. So Pedals, Couriers, or Pedals Dunedin, you can plug that into your Google and you'll find us. It's pedalscouriers.nz if you want to go directly there. But we are also all over the social media, and always happy to chat, and also just happy to give a wave if somebody sees us out on the street.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, hopefully those people that have seen you on this podcast will go, they've been the shop and drop facility. I'm going to go visit Pavement and not worry about how I'm going to carry it on my skateboard time. Lovely to meet you.
Likewise.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I look forward to seeing you around.
Cheers.